I do think it's an ethical issue, and I don't make and try not to make sort of prescriptions about what people should or shouldn't do. I do have a real problem with parents who say, I'm not vaccinating my child, and this is purely a personal decision. I think that's dishonest to act like the fact that they are increasing their child's risk of getting a potentially serious disease is purely personal, because we live in a society, and their child then comes in contact with pregnant women and infants in the pediatrician's office and the elderly, and so people who are at serious risk, if you choose not to vaccinate or delay vaccinations, or I think it is crucial that people be honest with themselves and with those around them, and accept and realize that these are the potential consequences of their behavior. I knew someone, and this just astounded me, who deliberately didn't vaccinate their child, then got whooping cough. They went to the pediatrician's office, just brought their kid into the pediatrician's office without advance warning, which first of all is incredibly dangerous and astounding, because you have newborns, but then the pediatrician said, okay, your child really needs to wear a mask in public, and they left the doctor's office and just took it off, and it so they're not only making this decision that has put other people at risk, but then when they're given prophylactic measures, they aren't even adhering to that, and whatever choice parents make, I think they do. We do have an obligation to be honest, and I think that also extends if you have a child who's unvaccinated and might has a cough and you don't know. I think then you can't just then go and bring your kid to school or go to the doctor's office, or you need to then be very proactively upfront and tell people. I want everyone to be aware that this is what could be going on.
Right. Yeah. And to a certain extent, it seems this is kind of an outgrowth of people's inability to measure varying levels of risk.
Yes.
Because when we were at the pediatrician and she asked us, do you want to opt out? I thought, well, what's the risk of, even if this is true, what is the risk of, my child getting autism from a vaccine, even if there was any validity to this? And let's weigh that against the risk of her getting some disease.
Right.
And like just doing the math, it seemed, we got to vaccinate because the risk level there is much greater anyway.
But again, I think that your reaction there, your analysis of the risk is probably unusual, in that I think what we know from risk analysis and from behavioral studies is that things that we don't understand, the risk seems much greater than it is. So you're much more likely to die on a football field than in a shark attack.
Right.
But if a kid gets a concussion in a football field, there's not going to be nationwide news coverage. And if someone is injured by a shark off the coast of Florida, that's all you're going to see about on the news. So I think to a lot of people, measles, all right, I know what measles is. It doesn't sound that scary compared to autism, which sounds very scary. Or, the most dangerous thing about getting a vaccine is driving to the doctor's office by far. But again, that doesn't seem scary in the same way.
Yeah. I always thought that had to do with control. When you're driving, there's sort of the illusion that you're in control. Right. Whereas if you get on a plane, you have no control. But of course, the risk of driving is much greater than the risk of getting on a plane.
Right.
But here flying.
It's you literally have your foot on the brake. I think we even saw that related to driving the last couple of years with the Toyota recalls.
Right.
Still, the risk of just getting in any car versus the risk of a Toyota was, infinitesimal. But you didn't see people all of a sudden saying, well, I'm not going to get in a car. You saw people at a rental car and saying, oh, whatever you do, don't give me a Toyota.
Right.
So, and again, it's, the incidence of fatal car accidents over 55 miles an hour is much greater, and yet still, it's not like you go on the highway and everyone's driving 55 miles an hour.